Good morning and welcome to the Greenfield Public Schools Policy Subcommittee meeting. It's Thursday, April 4th, 2024 at 11:33 a.m. We'll start with the roll call. Member Deneve.
Here.
And I, Glenn Johnson-Musad, am here. So we have a quorum.
Do you need me to take notes today?
We're recording, and I think that we will have someone who will brilliantly make us notes probably by the end of the day.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank
Annie
you.
will take care of it.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Let's see, it doesn't appear to be anyone here for public comment. So we'll move on to approve minutes from the March 7th, Oh, I forgot to read my chair statement. This meeting is being recorded for GCTV. If any other persons present are also recording, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Okay, I don't hear anything. Let's see, we got the minutes from March 7th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'm a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Let's have a vote. Member Deneve?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Minutes are approved unanimously. We're moving on to policy EEAA, walkers and riders, which I'm happy to pull up on my screen if that, I think I will do that. Just
That would be great.
Together. Okay. Oops.
Oh.
I don't know what happened there. Let's try to reload. Alrighty, some technical difficulties here. Browser's crashing. Stop the share. And I will have to find it another place. Let's see. Superintendent, I don't, too many things are crashing. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Oh, okay. I can just talk about it. I think there's only one sentence really up for discussion, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the policy that identifies the distance from school at which our students get bused. So right now, the policy says students grades K through 7 who live more than 1.5 miles from their school get bused, and students grades 8 through 12 who live more than 2 miles from school get bused. So the issue that came up a while ago was that we have students in particularly 2 neighborhoods, the housing area of Leiden Oak Courts and Greenfield Gardens, correct, Karen? Okay. Those 2 neighborhoods are less than 1.5 miles away from their designated schools, but the students in those housing developments get bused. So we have a situation where students 1.25 miles don't get the bus. Then we have Oak Courts or Greenfield Gardens students who get bused, and then we have students past those housing areas who don't get bused. So the question from administration is if the school committee could please make an official determination about what you would like for the transportation policy so that we can implement based on a school committee decision and not what appears to be a past administrative decision. So Karen and I met with the bus company. If we bus elementary students who live 1 mile or more, the bus company can accommodate that. They cannot accommodate with our contracted number of buses. They could not accommodate if we changed the secondary. Too many students would be added to the buses. We would need multiple more buses to transport the secondary students who live 1 mile away. So the requests would be either tell us to implement the policy as written, or change the elementary designation to a mile or more away from school for transportation.
All right. Well, with that, I will make a motion that we change the elementary limit for bus transportation from what it is currently to 1 mile, leaving it the same for middle and high school. Is that right? Did I say it right?
If that's what you would like to do, that is one of the two choices, yes.
Okay. Is there a second? And we can discuss.
I'm sorry to be the fly in the ointment, but Christine, can you tell me the statement again? If we change it to,
Yes,
oh, I'm
So-
sorry, say the words again. I'm
that's
trying-
okay. So right now, it says any elementary student who lives more than 1.5 miles away from their school gets a bus. So you can either leave it that way and we will implement it as written, which does mean there are students who currently get bused who will not. Or if you change the 1.5 miles to a mile, it means there are students closer to school who will get a bus at the elementary level.
But there aren't enough buses to do the 1 mile.
For elementary, there are, but not for the high school level.
Or the middle
Okay.
school level, right?
The change would affect grades K through 7.
Oh, okay, that's great.
So you
Well,
would have
you can-
enough space for K through 7, but the high school, maybe not.
So a few things. One, Glenn, to go back, you can vote to just do it for up through grade 4. You don't have to change it for the middle school. You can designate differently. If we were to bus the high school students a mile or further, then the bus company would need probably 3 additional buses based on the numbers. There are about 130 students who would get added to the bus runs.
Okay, thank you.
I think the biggest issue that we've been dealing with administratively, and our prior transportation coordinator brought it up to Karen and I, is that our practice was inconsistent with the policy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we just would like tell us to do it the way it's written, or we'll change the way it's written and do it that way.
Mhm. What was your motion, Glenn?
My motion was to change the distance from 1.5 miles to 1 mile for the elementary, and now I am also going to say the middle school, elementary schools and the middle school.
I would second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I can speak on this because I no longer have a conflict of interest because I don't drive a route for Greenfield anymore. I drive
Oh,
for the tech.
great. That's
Yeah,
good,
so
because you're the only other person on this committee at this moment.
yeah, great. I drive to the tech school, so I don't drive for Greenfield anymore, but I'm very familiar with that route because that was my route, Leiden Woods. So, if they say there are no more buses, it's not like there's no way. It won't happen. Plus, if you're including the more elementary kids, it will work, but they're probably going to need bus monitors in order to handle that because it's already tenuous at best. So this is just my opinion from having to drive these kids for several years now. So I can say that the high school kids, if they're a mile or less, or if they're within that mile, a lot of them are going to walk. Even the ones that I dropped off that were up to 2 miles would walk. And I couldn't quite imagine how they would want to do all of that, but they do it all the time. So I think that having a mile radius would probably be really helpful to a lot of parents and families, and I think that would be a really great addition to what we can offer.
You mean just for,
Just for the elementary and the middle. Because that's what we're talking about, right? Busing
That was the
anyone from
motion, yeah,
K through
let's-
7.
yeah, that's what the policy currently speaks to at 1.5 miles. I want to ask Karen if you have any different information. I already told Glenn before the meeting started, all my notes are at home. Are at work. I did not expect to be at home for this meeting. So I just want to clarify the middle school piece if Karen's notes are close before we go further. Elementary, I'm absolutely positive that we do not have the buses to accommodate the high school.
I don't have my notes either, so I apologize, but I thought it was only elementary. I did not think it was any secondary that they could accommodate.
Okay,
So, I think but I also, we had talked about what would happen the following year with the 5th grade move, and I think that's how we got a little tongue-tied in our grade levels, because we were thinking not only this year, but
but
next.
following, yeah. So if I could, thank you, amend my statement about the first tier, they can't accommodate. So first tier is secondary, second tier is elementary. So I apologize for that confusion.
Okay, yeah, I answered my own question then in my mind, because the routes are separate. The elementary kids never ride with the middle school and the high school kids, so there's 2
Right.
separate routes. So the elementary kids are the only ones we could accommodate anyways, because we can't just take some middle school and some high school, not other high school. So yeah, so that motion about it being just the elementary would work.
Great. All right. Well, maybe I've gotten lost in my own motion. So I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna actually give me a minute. I'm just gonna try writing it in the chat so can get this right. So motion. Change. Yeah, I lost all my windows.
Oh my goodness. Do
Um,
you want me to put something in a chat, Glenn, and you can dictate?
No, I can type in the chat. Yeah, just I
Okay.
lost my policy and everything, my agenda.
Oh, no.
Elementary bus distance from 5 miles to 1. What's the policy that we're working on?
EEAA, I believe.
Okay. So I'm just gonna, it's not perfect, but I think it says it well enough. I move that we change the elementary bus distance from 1.5 miles to 1.0 miles in policy EEAA.
For K through 4, right? at
Well,
the
it
moment?
says elementary, but I can be clear of a K through 4.
If I could add a thought, if you say elementary, then next year you don't have to redo this policy to change grade levels.
Oh, yeah. Great.
So if
Good
you do elementary and then change the language for secondary, I need the middle school 1.5, high school remain the same. So we'd have 3 different distances. But I think that's okay.
So you think the motion is okay as written? Oh, I didn't put it in the chat, but
If you could amend the motion to say 1.5 miles or more for middle school,
okay.
that would do the language. And then high school remains the same.
What is it, the middle school currently?
1.5.
So middle school would remain at 1.5
Yes.
and the high school would remain at,
I don't know. I think it's 2, but Karen, are you looking? Yeah. She had that looking something up look on her face. I see it frequently.
okay. Mm. Is it good enough?
I think the language is good. I just want to, Karen will confirm the current high school distance. Can you find EEA?
So it says grades 8 through 12 over 2 miles. So maybe we change that to high school since next year 8 won't be included.
Yes, Glenn's language
I see it.
designate, well, you can't see it, you're doing something else. Delegates the distances by elementary, middle, high. So it would be 1, 1.5, 2.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And what I'm thinking is if we vote for this, then Christine, if you would, actually do the revision of the policy with the red, with the, so people can see
Yes.
the changes.
Yes.
And you'll be able to do the wordsmithing, but this kind of gets what we're trying to get at.
I'll put it in the bullets the way the policy is formatted, but it would be this information. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. I move to change the elementary bus distance from 1.5 miles to 1.0 miles in policy EEAA. The middle school bus distance would remain at 1.5 and high school would remain at 2.0 miles. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Let's vote. Member Deneve?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that passes.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. And then next item, I let the superintendent know, and Karen want to share with you also, if you want to leave for this part, feel free. This is just us talking about the way that the school committee functions. Elizabeth had brought forward an idea of having a supermajority required on the school committee for certain votes. So it's really up to you if you want to stay on or not, but that's our next item.
I'm gonna take the offer and head out, but thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
take care.
Have a good day.
Bye. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, you too.
Oh, all right. Karen also opted out. Great.
Yep.
I should just say the superintendent and Karen left the meeting at 11:52 a.m.
I'd like
So,
to just take a minute and make a note for myself.
sure.
In my circle back folder, because when this happens, when if we vote to change the policy, one of the things that might be a really important olive branch to have on the table for our vendor and just in general is to make sure that we think about in the budget for that year to have money for bus monitors, because they're going to need, for 130 more elementary school kids, they're going to need bus monitors in every one of the buses, or they probably will not run.
Okay.
That's the truth. There's only one bus monitor, I think, in one of the 7 buses. Greenfield has 7. And they're going to need to have 6 more. And that's like a part-time job. And so it's hard to find people, but it won't function without it.
Okay.
Because they'll be full of 40 kids. Each bus will have about 40 K through 5 kids, and it will be intense.
But isn't this, I mean, changing it, I guess it does affect some young people who aren't already getting busing from the low-income developments. There will be some additional, but some of this is just to put into policy a practice that's already been taking place, which is kids who were less less than 1.5 miles were already getting bus because of living in the developments.
Right. And they all need bus monitors.
They already need bus
They
monitors.
already need bus monitors. So I'm just
Mhm.
saying that we should maybe have in our minds when the budget issue comes up about this, that we should just be mindful that we're probably going to want to put out positions for bus monitors and be a little bit more aggressive about it, or we might have difficulties because that's a lot of kids,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it is. Okay. All right, anything else on the buses?
No, I just
Okay.
throw my cents in the ring.
Okay, let's talk about supermajority.
Yay.
I have a couple, I guess, questions about how it would work. I mean, I guess one question that we've discussed is like, how do you identify which items need the supermajority? But separate from that, I'm wondering how much of a difference it would make on a committee the size of ours, because basically the worst that we've had have been some very important votes happening with only 4 members present.
Mhm.
A supermajority is either going to be 5 or 6 because
Right.
there's only 7 of us. So do we really want to have a special supermajority process that would involve getting 1 or 2 more members involved in important decisions?
I feel like the need for this only came up one time, and that was
Yeah,
last December.
yeah,
And at that time, I really wish that we had a policy for a supermajority, and I really wish that I had left the meeting and broke the quorum, and I regret that.
uh,
So
y-
I'm thinking about it. Like, I think we're going to run into this problem in the next year or two? Probably not. But there could be a time in the future when we really wish that we had it. So I'm sort of thinking like like long term, leave the place better than you found it kind of thing.
mhm, yeah,
And I don't think it has to be too fancy. 5 people would make a big difference. I mean, obviously, people get sick or busy and things happen and you can't control everyone. But if you could say, hey, we need to vote on the budget and we don't have enough people, but we could maybe push it to a Zoom meeting next week with the possibility of having more eyes on this, it might be worth it.
yeah. Well, I guess the other argument, though, is that if there's someone, I mean, I guess well, if you have 4 people there, um, there's kind of 2 situations that could come up. The first is you have 4 people who are basically in agreement and they are going to push their concerns over the 3 people who aren't there, which
Mm-hmm.
they're probably going to do anyway because they have the votes. The other situation is the one you were in where you got 3 people who might have a strong opinion about something, they want to push something through, and the 4th person doesn't agree. But like you're saying, they could leave the meeting and break the quorum if they felt that strongly about it,
Mm-hmm. It's true.
which is
Um,
not great. I mean, that's requires more drama and more
right,
basically of a throwing a bomb on the democratic process, basically.
right. I understand, but that's why it might be nice to have something sort of set. I don't know. Like, I feel like hiring the superintendent is something that we should have enough of us there for. You know, voting on the budget, like we should have enough of us there for. Um, the only other instance I could think of is like firing the superintendent, like those big monumental moments. We
Yeah,
shouldn't try to push it through, or take advantage of a time when there aren't everybody there. And because I remember bringing up, well, why don't we table this until more people can be here? And it's like, no, and I'm not saying that we'll get in that situation, but somebody could in the future, and we might be saving them some heartache. It could
Mhm.
be one of us we're saving from heartache
Yeah,
4 years
It
down
would-
the line.
it
you know,
does
or
sound like
something.
we're thinking the super majority would be five, 5 votes. Um,
And I mean, can you think of any other thing that's really big that would really benefit, like would actually benefit from having more people there? I can only think of those 3 items.
hiring superintendent, firing superintendent, and approving the budgets. Is it the superintendent's budget and then whatever the one is that happens after the city council comes up with the final number?
Yeah, or even just the final budget. Maybe we feel like just,
Yeah, like the superintendent's budget would be okay with 4 people present.
yeah, because then it can advance and nobody's stopping the process.
Yeah,
But then at the end, having more people present so that we can be really clear on what our values are.
yeah.
Like I'm not trying to stop up the works. I just feel like
No, no, not
it
at
could
all.
easily be manipulated, and that's something I'm just thinking of for the future
Yeah, I hear you. Okay.
while we have the bandwidth. And if we don't have the bandwidth to do it now, maybe it's a future dream.
Yeah. Well, let's see which of us gets it done quicker, writing up a draft of the policy for us to look at and bring forward.
That was a question that I had because I couldn't really find a policy about it in our policy manual. I found information in the charter saying what a quorum would be, but there was nothing
Yeah.
saying that about a super quorum. So if we do something like this, do we write something brand new, and are there steps we have to take to do a brand new policy? I don't know how that works.
Oh, that's a good question, whether we can even do this. If a quorum is defined as by the charter, do we even have the power to create a supermajority policy for certain activities? I think I should probably write to the Dupreys and ask, because we may not even have the authority to change this.
Yeah, that was my first thought, was that okay if we, because when I called Boston, they said, well, you can do whatever works for you as a
Yeah,
committee
yeah.
within the guidelines of your policy and the charter. So if we don't have a policy in our handbook that says what a quorum is for us, but there is one in the charter, could we then make a policy that says we will conform to the quorum listed in the charter with the caveat that for these 3 things, we will require a 5-member quorum? Like, could we do that? I don't know. That's definitely a legal question, like you said.
Hmm.
But it's also like a lesson to learn, because there are a lot of policies once we finish the project and have the search and are part of the searchable database. There are probably policies that we're going to want to potentially rewrite or bring up new ones, and it would be great to know, how do we do that?
Well, I mean, for things where it's clear that we have the authority, we have a process for creating new policy for ourselves. We've done that with like our cell phone policy, for example.
Right.
Basically something gets written and approved at this committee level and it gets brought forward to the school committee for a first vote. It comes back to us in between, and then it goes back to the school committee for a second vote, kind of thing. So that's not a question,
Okay.
but yeah, I think our next step is I'll see if I can get a legal determination on whether we can do this at all.
Okay. That would be great. At least, we'd be taking a little step forward, and I'm happy to try my hand at writing a draft and sending
Yeah,
it to you. And
great. Sounds good. Thank you, Elizabeth.
No problem. So I'll wait to hear back from you about what Dupre says. then.
Sounds good.
Thank you
Let's,
so much.
Let's move to adjournment.
All right.
Your motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh, motion from member Deneve and I second. Any discussion? All right, let's vote. Member Deneve
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So we're adjourned at 12:03 p.m.